One of the things we missed during the season of lockdown is our annual student trip from Moorlands College to the British Museum. But thanks to the generosity of the British Museum, putting their collection online, and of course the wonder of video technology, let me take you to the British Museum for a 2-minute virtual tour of one of my favourite exhibits. It's the Lachish reliefs found in 1847 in Nineveh, and these display from the Assyrian point of view an event that we read about in the Bible in 2 Kings chapter 18. In 701 BC, King Sennacherib took his Assyrian forces on a campaign in the land of Judah, and they capture this town of Lachish. Now this is a remarkable find because it brings together this record from the ancient world from the Assyrian point of view with a story that we read about in the Bible and with the archaeology on the ground. You can visit the town of Lachish, 25 miles southwest of Jerusalem, and see in the ruins the actual remains of the Assyrian siege ramp that had been built up in order to capture this Jewish town. Looking in detail on the relief, we see remarkable little details regarding the Assyrian war machine, their army, their shock troopers, their spearmen, their archers, and right at the back the slingstone throwers that would have fired their slingstones over the heads of their colleagues and in, of course, the defenders of this Jewish town. The siege ramp that's been built up against this town of Lachish allows the Assyrian siege engines to be brought up against the walls of the town of Lachish. You see the Jewish defenders defending to the last man the walls against this Assyrian onslaught, but there's not much hope for them. They do fire these burning torches against the siege engines. They look a little like ice cream cones to try and set light to them, but it's no good. The Assyrians are prepared. They have water-based fire extinguishers on board. You see those ladles pouring water out to extinguish the flames. And so it is that the town of Lachish and those brave Jewish defenders would fall. It's very poignant to see these images of the refugees, the families, the little children, and then very gruesome to see the images of perhaps some of the leaders in the military being flayed alive. And then finally, some of those Jewish survivors being brought before King Sennacherib to pay their tribute. You see the face that's been hacked away as the king sits on the throne. That would have happened a little later in history, perhaps by the Babylonians when they overran the town of Nineveh. But what we have here in the Lachish reliefs is a remarkable example of how a record from the Assyrian point of view ties in with a biblical story. Now in the Bible we read in 2 Kings chapter 18 that King Sennacherib's real aim was to capture Jerusalem, and Hezekiah was there and Isaiah the prophet, and they held out and God in his providence protected Jerusalem. And so it was that we know there was a siege of Lachish and Lachish fell. There was a siege of Jerusalem, but Jerusalem never fell. And the Assyrian king returned, leaving Jerusalem intact behind him. Now he doesn't refer to the fall of Jerusalem because Jerusalem never fell. He can only refer to the fall of Lachish. And this is a remarkable exhibit for bringing together archaeology, ancient literature, this wonderful relief, and the biblical text.